from the Me and My Books podcast. Our mission is to bring vision and connection to families through meaningful conversations. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Now, onto the video.
Hey, welcome back.
What's going
you
on,
guys?
everybody?
Hey, guys.
Hope y'all been
Hi.
good.
Welcome back to the pod. Welcome back.
Welcome
back.
back.
Welcome back to our home.
Our humble abode.
Why I always want to say welcome back like I never left. I know it's old, but
I've actually never heard that before.
I have. You haven't heard
you
that?
never heard that before?
I'm back like I never left.
Well, yeah, I heard I'm back like I never left, but I never heard welcome back like I never left. Oh.
No,
I thought
not
those were two
that.
different
I want to
things.
say back. We're back like we never left.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What do you know? I got some cool points. How surprising. So, guys, we're back.
Yeah.
And
last
last
kind of want to just jump right into it.
yeah, because last episode created a lot of discussion.
A lot of buzz.
We've heard from several people about, how good it was, how interesting it was, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, we didn't really get to touch on everything that we wanted to touch in that episode.
Yeah.
So to some degree, we kind of sort of want to circle back a little bit.
Touch on some things a little bit deeper.
Yes. and just talk some more about the realities of the family, the realities of the everyday struggles and things that we deal with and things that we go through, and how do we navigate them realistically. And yeah, so
More specifically, how like what one person does in the family affects everybody.
yeah.
The micro and the macros.
Yeah. One of the things that, as much of a good episode as the last episode was, one of the things that people would not know by just looking at that episode, and I'm jumping right in,
Yes.
is
jump right in.
right before that episode was filmed, as we were setting up and preparing, we had a family situation that came up, right? And one of our cast members,
Where was I?
out of nowhere,
You were getting ready or
No.
something.
she was in her room.
Getting ready.
Yeah, she was in her room getting ready. And one of our cast members, I will choose not to disclose unless they feel the
That's
need
me.
to.
That's me.
But something
Appreciate you being
happened.
open.
And they had a moment, and as we were setting up, they came right up to me and said, what if I don't want to do this
Yeah.
anymore, right? He came right up to me. He said, what if I don't want to do this anymore? What if I don't want to be a part of this recording and all this stuff anymore? And
I was just like,
Jasmine was in the room. She
Where was
was
Daniel?
out here setting up. Danielle
Daniel
wasn't here as yet. And it was just the three of us. It was
Yeah.
just me, her, and him. And we were standing out here. And I said, what? And he said, what if I don't want to do this anymore? And I looked at him and I said, well, Jonathan, that is the thing about being in a family. Like, you don't get to commit to something and then pull your word back as you
Look
see
what you
fit.
said.
That's what
Yeah.
he said. That's what she said, yeah.
Yeah. You can't remember?
I thought you said something else.
You were so
Maybe
hot.
you said it.
I said a
after
few
this.
things.
Yeah, you said a few
I
things.
said, and you'll get to share what you
From your
heard me say,
perspective.
and then Jasmine. But I think I said that's part of being in a family. You don't get to at the last minute decide that you don't want to be a part of something and then just withdraw your commitment. Once you give your word, you have to follow through on that word, especially right in the midst of something happening. And then afterwards, you can review it at that time. But in life, we don't always get to decide after we've committed to something that we just don't want to be a part of it. And part of being in a family is doing things for the greater good sometimes when you don't feel like doing it. It's not always based on your feelings. And moreover so, what I thought was happening at that time, I thought that it was an attack against what we was trying to do. So I decided that, we were going to push through, and I was going to give him some time, because even in the middle of all that, I realized that he was going through something and he was processing something. And so I give him some time to go process those things, told him what the expectation was, and allow him some space to work through his emotions and whatever he was feeling at that set time.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. If I'm being totally transparent and just boom, but not dressing it up for the camera or anything. Like, I think in that moment, it just, I let the thoughts of the enemy just bombard me, mixed with my like anger, and then, cause I knew I shouldn't say it. I knew I didn't mean it when I said it, but
Pretty
I
convincing.
don't know what made me, what convicted me to just come over here and just say it, like. And then when you like, I knew it wasn't gonna be a good response back. That's what I was in my head. Like, I knew what I was gonna get back wasn't gonna be good. And I just seen Jasmine right there, and she was just standing, and she was just like.
I was trying to make eye contact.
And then the way you responded, just made everything kind of go away, like dissipate.
The way how I responded.
Yeah.
Oh wow. The way how
Yeah.
I responded made everything dissipate.
Yeah.
How you expected me to
I
respond?
don't know. I expected you to be a little bit more mad. Maybe.
Me too.
Maybe say something or I don't know. Just be angry, like, and just respond back too, like.
You were just surprisingly calm.
And not say nothing super rude, but like, you know, come combat it with something
Speaking out of
else,
offense.
just another piece of whatever. But you were really calm when you're responding back too, like, which made me like, which threw me off in a good way.
It threw
Threw
you
me
off
off
in a
too.
good way.
Yeah.
It threw you off too.
Yeah, because the response you gave and the response that I was expecting, like, Jonathan, there were two different things. Like, I was
Yeah.
expecting you to be like, in my head, I was like, if I was mommy, I would have been like, in the same moment, out of the passion, I would be like, fine, then we'll do this without you. But mommy, I was looking at your face, I was looking at your body language, I was looking at everything, and you just went.
Yeah, that exactly. Like, you like, and you did that. I know you were you were processing it, and because you would have said something on the, but when you.
That was her.
That was her, yeah, holding in and then thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You had it spot on. That's exactly what she did. I remember it too. I remember the lights was off. I walked out here. We were right there. Jasmine right there.
Was that before or after we put on the praise and worship? That was before, right?
That was
That had to have been before because when
that
you
had to
started
be
the dance,
before.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say. I think that was before.
that was before.
Yeah.
That was before. And I was led to pray before, and as we were setting up, I heard the Holy Spirit say, put on the praise and worship as you get ready. And I meant to do it, but I didn't do it. You know, that way I got distracted doing something else. And after that happened, I was like, God, you told me to set the atmosphere, and I neglected to do so. But I'm going to do so now.
I probably, if you probably would have prayed, I know this sounds weird, it probably doesn't make sense, but if you probably would have been playing the gospel music, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I probably
Would have just
it
come
probably
in and
would-
get with it.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, you know,
Yeah,
that,
God
but
knew what he was prompting you to do that
the
for.
atmosphere would have been
Yes.
different. It probably would have changed my
How you were
spirit
feeling.
a little bit or something.
So what was going through your head, like, the moments leading up to that? Like, were you just frustrated? Were you tired? Were you
I think I was just frustrated.
why?
I don't even know.
Was it because I know she kept, like, calling you back and forth, and
Oh, that might
you
have
walk
been it.
away. I don't know if you were just annoyed or
That
if it
might
was
have
just like
been it.
something that was building up.
Yeah. I think that it's so important for us to be obedient in the small promptings when God speaks to us, you know, quietly when he says, hey, do this or do that. And had I done that, like you said, you would have walked into a different atmosphere opposed to just coming out here and, you know, like you said, you probably would have responded different. But I think what also helped is after we had that interaction, the Holy Spirit told me to come talk to you. So after we had this interaction in here, you went in your room, I give you a minute. I allow you to have some time
I
alone.
forgot all about that. I forgot what happened. Yeah, tell me.
And then I
remind me.
came back to your room.
Mm-hmm.
And you were laying on the bed, and I said, hey, are you doing all right? And you was like, yeah. I said, what you doing? And you were like, I'm looking at my schedule for work. And I said, okay. I said, what time are you going in? And then you started telling me what time you're going in and stuff. And then I asked you how you're feeling. And you were like, I'm feeling good. I said, so what was that happened earlier? And you said, I was just frustrated. I said, oh, you was just overwhelmed and frustrated? And you said, yeah. I said, that's okay. It happens sometimes. I said, but I wanted to make sure that I check on you and that this wasn't truly how you were feeling. Because if you truly were feeling like you don't want to be part of it, I don't want to force you to be part of it. It's just that we've already committed to this particular episode. And then I said, are you having second thoughts? Do you not want to be part of it? And you said it was never that. You do want to be part of it. You was just upset at the time. And we worked it out, and we came back and we recorded.
Yeah, we recorded a good episode too.
Yeah. That was good. Do you remember that conversation now? Mm-hmm. I'm like, how do you not remember?
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. But that's a typical example of how one person respond could affect everybody else. You know,
Yeah.
because had I got an attitude or had I not have the wisdom of God to handle that situation how I did that particular time, it would have thrown everything off.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
then
the whole-
Jasmine would have been a little bit teetered with messing with you with where y'all was setting up
Yeah.
and stuff. 'Cause
And
she
that-
know you'd have been mad.
When you as soon as you said that, my whole heart sank, and I was just like, all the worst things kept popping in my head, like us recording episodes without Jonathan, like we start getting up there, and then Jonathan's not with us anymore, and I was just like, if I had to witness that encounter and you would have said what I thought you were gonna say, I would have had to carry that weight with me while we recorded that episode, and I probably would have held back a little bit because I'm thinking about all that stuff that happened. So just the way both of you guys responded in that moment affected me, which I don't know if y'all were thinking about that or not, but like it's just like a butterfly effect or a domino effect. What one or two people do in the family can affect everybody else in so many different ways, and that's so cool. That's so cool, and kind of like it's a double-edged sword because, like I said in the last episode, everyone's coming with their own experiences, their own point of views and stuff, and what one person may say, another person may take it a different way because of the experiences that they went through and stuff. And the other person, depending on how they respond, can either bring it up or bring it down. And it all of that is affected from one person doing something.
And that's why we have an onus and a responsibility in our family to filter, to some degree, filter how we respond to things. And not filter it in the sense of you can't be truthful. You know what I'm saying? But filtering it in the sense of just like an influencer or anybody else that have influence over people, you have to be responsible for how you respond to things. You have to be responsible for what you say because it can affect the lives of people, right? In a positive or in a negative way. And so when you're in a family, to some degree, you have a responsibility to monitor and be intentional about how you respond to things because other people are watching and their emotions, their mental states, the way how they perceive things is impacted by that too. So you want to make sure that your response is sober and not emotional.
Especially as we start talking about the roles of each family member. Like the mom, I don't know if you guys have heard this saying before, but like whatever mood the mom is in is the mood the whole house is in. And that just goes back to what I was saying. Like sometimes, or in that moment, you could have said something, and like I said, that could have brought my mood down or brought my mood up, and it brought my mood up because the way you responded, it just blew me away. But like, just in general and stuff, like how you say, as it's our job in our family to monitor how we respond. I feel like I'm not gonna say the mom has the biggest responsibility of saying that, but it is a big responsibility because the whole mood depends on how the mom's mood is. The whole house depends on how the mom's mood is.
Yeah, I was watching this. I just saw this video on Instagram, and it was a baby, and the baby were playing with fruits and doing different things, and they recorded how the baby respond when the baby heard the mom's voice, and how the baby respond when they heard the dad's voice, and then how the baby respond. Well, it was a toddler, not a baby, when she heard the communication between the mom and the dad, and regular, normal, happy communication. And then how she respond when they were arguing. And it was
You can see the
Substantial.
differences.
it was amazing. And you got to see the differences in her response at different times. And when the parents were arguing, she couldn't even play with her toys. Like she couldn't
What was she
even.
doing? Like looking back at them, or
She was just at one point. She was just sitting there,
just listening?
that's listening, just looking. Then she put her head back down, and she was just. She couldn't play with the toys. She couldn't do anything. When her parents was having a happy interactions, she was playing with the toys, moving it around, matching the different signs, the different, not signs, shapes, the different shapes and stuff like that. She was coloring and everything. And then when the parents were arguing, she had the toys, and she was like, the same activity, she could not function. She could not do the same things that she was doing, right? And it was amazing. So parents do have the greatest responsibility in the family, of setting the trajectory for the family and setting how their children will process things in and outside of the home, right? And but then siblings impact that too. Siblings have the children in the family have an impact on that because the children have an impact on how the mom responds to things. Like depending on different things that the mom is going okay, let me back up. At different stages, different ages, different seasons in the family, different people have different impacts on each other. And that's the reason why you can't minimize your role in a family, right? Because as the children grow and they become teenagers and young adults, instead of the mom setting the tone for the house, she still plays a part in that. But now the degree of the impact regarding the tone in the house fluctuates and changes depending on the kids. So if you have one kid that's misbehaving, that's doing certain things, then that affects the mom's emotional and mental ability to regulate the atmosphere in the house. Because now she's overly worried about one child, right? And so one person in the house have the ability to change the dynamics of the whole house.
Yeah.
But then the parents have the most input, because if the parents say it's okay, we'll pray for them, then the children look at that. Or it's okay, they're going through something. As the parents help the other people in the house to process what is happening, it could work out okay. But then if the parent is dealing with that internally and not helping everybody else process through what is happening, then everybody withdraws and everybody process it in their own way based on their own understanding at a particular time. So
the way I review it is, I'm still forming these thoughts as they come. So I would just say the mom and the dad are the top of the chain, right?
Yep.
They're the one that make the rules, that set the tone for the house. And then the oldest child, that's the one that's kind of been there from the beginning, obviously, because it's the oldest child. And they've seen the parents through the ups, through the downs. They've been there. They're like the test child. I don't. And then, so they're like, whenever the next child comes, they're like, hey, I've seen mom and dad do this. They're kind of like the second step down from the parents. They're like,
they should be.
They have they have that reverence. They have that seniority. So whenever the second or the third or fourth child comes, they're all looking up to the first child, because the first child has been there, has seen it, can verify certain things that the parents say is true. And then the second one down is going to be like the one that's kind of referring immediately to the oldest child, because they've kind of been in there together before the next two come. In our situation, at least, the four. I feel like, is that true, Jonathan? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you go to Daniel for most things, because it's been like you and Daniel before we even got here. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'll share my view of everything after you're done.
Okay. And then, in our instance, we're twins. So we kind of lean on each other a little bit more. But I would probably say,
We look towards the outside for like if someone's in trouble, or we see we gauge how mommy would react to something based on how she reacts to it with Daniel
because we
and
have
Jonathan.
we have two older siblings to look to from their experiences, and then we have the parents. So we're not on the outside, but we're the last of the last. So we can see like, oh, he went through that, our parents went through that. Okay, how does it all compare to everybody else, and how does it compare to us? Like we have that that outward foresight, yeah. So that's how I would kind of grade it. That's my loose.
You need some energy.
I would say for me, and a lot of this is gonna be like for my family, but a lot of this can still be generalized throughout other families too. But for me, I see it as like, okay, mommy and Mr. Jesse, they're the head of the household. They're our parents. They're the ultimate leaders. They should be the ultimate leaders. They the ultimate example.
Authority.
The ultimate authority, yes. And they make the decisions. As I see it, as it comes to like the firstborn, the older brother in Daniel's case, and in my
Second
case too, because
parent.
I'm an older brother. But I would say, like, it's to be to learn how to be a protector, of course, from Mr. Jesse, and because we're the older, we're men, and that's our role. So to learn how to do that, protect our mom, protect our sisters, and to also learn to be a leader at the same time, because both of you guys are leading. So we're taking that notes and experience from you guys, and seeing how to be a leader as well, and at the same time learn how to be like a role model, because we know somebody's looking up to us, and not everybody has somebody looking up to them. So it's like, and not everybody has the what's the word, privilege to be an older sibling. So so you just have to take that into account and know that what you may think is small, you just doing something, but from the outside looking in, or you should have some younger siblings or younger cousins looking at you. They looking at it like
Watching
it's
everything you
everything,
do.
and they gonna copy every single thing you do, like every single
Yes.
thing, and because they think it's the best thing, the coolest thing. They doing it just because they see their older cousin doing it, so it must be cool, must be good. So you gotta take all that into consideration. And for you guys, even though y'all are the young ones,
The babies.
I would say your role is to also learn how to be a leader, learn how to stay in a support environment, and build that community, and learn how to protect each other, and just learn how to learn from all of our mistakes, like you were saying, and just be better than us. Like
That's
that's
good.
what I would say your role is.
That's
Also
very
learning
modern.
how to like I said, be that support, learning how to know to talk to your brothers or talk to your mom or communicate, and say if you're not liking something, or gain those nice skills that you're gonna need also when you become grown in your life. So that's what I would say.
With all that being said, because I remember the conversation that we had before we came and recorded, what are some instances, now that we discussed the roles, like what are some examples of situations that happened or stories that kind of, would you say, influenced everybody and kind of had an impact on down the line, basically?
Well, that was one story she told at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. So I think before we go into that, very briefly, I'm going to say that I think that everybody's role in the family is primarily to learn and serve, right? As parents, we lead, but we serve you, right? And we learn from you too, because we're parenting for the first time. And even though you might have your firstborn, your secondborn, the twins, or your third, fourth, fifth child, each child is different, right?
true.
And
Each child is your
if
first
you don't
child.
set out with that intention of learning each child individually, then you can generalize and lose one or two of your children. They can feel left out, or they can feel as if you don't see them. So your role as a parent is to serve, to lead, to serve, and to learn along the way. And it's the same as you guys in a house in a different capacity. You're leading, you're serving, and you're learning. You're learning each other's, you're learning, your siblings, you're learning your roles, because you are going to be future wives, future husbands, future parents, and so you're learning how to parent. You're learning how to be a supportive wife as you support your brothers. You're learning how to take care of a woman as you take care of your sisters. And we're all learning how to serve. Basically, this is our first opportunity to serve, and as we serve in our homes, when we go out into the job field, when we go to church, when we go to different places, we've already mastered the art of serving. So we don't have a problem doing what is being asked of us. We come into most situations with the perspective of, how can I serve here? How can I help here? How can I learn here? How can I grow? What can I gain from this that will better position me to be a better wife, mom, leader, boss, entrepreneur? Everything that you do in your family is going to attribute or contribute to the character that you develop for what you need in the future. So when you miss opportunities in your home to serve, you're not building the muscle of serving and stewardship, because part of servanthood is stewardship, is stewarding what you're responsible for, right? And then a part of being a child in a family, like I said, is to learn, and it's to be an easy learner, to conform to the rules that are set within your house, to sow good seeds in the ground so that you can reap the reward of that, right? The Bible talks about honoring your mother and father so that your days can be long on the earth. In serving in home and in honoring your parents, you're being obedient ultimately to God, right? Which is the ultimate head of our home and our family, right? So we all lead, learn, and serve in our families, because there's going to be different times that you're going to be leading in something and I'm going to have to submit to it. I'm learning right now, even on this podcast, to submit to Jasmine when it comes to all things media and production, right? And Jada had her first catering event, and I was there to serve her. I had to follow rules. You know what I'm saying? She would establish herself as a leader. You did an awesome job. You didn't bully me, But you were like, this is what I need done. Da, 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 da. We had to serve, we had to come on there. But those leadership skills, I'm sure, were sharpened based on what you've seen modeled before you too, at school and at home, right? And so we all are going to have the opportunity to lead, and we're going to have to listen and follow each other, each other's leading based on our strengths and our weaknesses and so on and so forth. If I know I'm weak in something and Jonathan, you're stronger, is nothing for me to come on to your strength. That's what family is about, using our strength to protect each other's weaknesses. So it's a good thing to learn. There's strength in numbers, because we're not all
wisdom,
strength in the
to
same.
gain wisdom from the people who are older too.
Yeah.
Because I remember it's so simple. You were like, a long time ago, you told me you can't only learn from good leaders, you can also learn from bad leaders. You can learn from bad leaders. So it's like really everywhere you go, in every leadership position that you see, you can learn something from everyone you look at if you just take the time to analyze it, step back and see what could this person be doing better, or what are they doing good that I like, or what are they doing that's not I don't like, or if I was in that position I would do better. This is how I would do better. Just thinking about things like that, and once you open that door to just finding new ways to learn, like you said, the easiest ways to learn, and being open to not just automatically judging things and trying to learn something from each situation.
Yeah, and you learn the basis for that at home, So that's part of what it is. You learn the keys to life in your home, and you can't underestimate what your family environment is teaching you, for the future. So, anywho, go ahead, Jada. Have us brought back on topic, and we were talking about how one thing. From our experience, how the things that we do can impact and hurt, influence, or even make each other stronger or or weaker, or make us feel weaker to some degree.
So what's is something that we can personally attest to, or something that we've done or experienced that?
You have a story that you were gonna share?
Yeah, I can share. I can start off. One of the biggest things that comes to mind is when I first started my first relationship. Jasmine and I are really close, and obviously because we're twins, we've been together for our whole life, and so
Quite literally womb mates.
so bringing in a new
Factor
factor into the dynamic of our relationship kind of really hurt us, because I didn't really know. Obviously, it was my first relationship, so I didn't really know how to prioritize my boyfriend and Jasmine, and he kind of ended up taking over. And I would go out. I didn't really tell Jasmine, like, not that I'm supposed to tell her, like, hey, I'm going this place at this time, but I didn't run it by her. We're both used to going out together and doing our thing, and then he came along and we started going out different places. And I guess Jasmine kind of felt like I was kind of leaving her behind, which I would never do, by the way. And I don't know if I chose to not see it or if I didn't. I want to say I didn't see it. I unintentionally ended up kind of not spending as much time as we used to, and it ended up hurting her. And I didn't know to what extent it ended up hurting her, and that kind of put a dent in our relationship. But it's back. It's like nothing happened, and now it's a learning experience, learning curve, and I'm kind of glad it happened because now I can see what I need to do better next time. And because of that, it kind of indirectly trickled down. Mommy saw that Jasmine was feeling a little bit down.
And from what I told her and spoke to her and stuff.
And so it affected Mommy. And then, so that's one way of how it can affect the dynamic, your family dynamic.
Yeah. I think in anything, so you may not be a twin. You may be another sibling. But I think in anything, we have to find balance. And sometimes when you're new to dating or dating in general, something is new, and you could tend to want to lean heavier towards that side than it is. And what that can do is it could drown out the voice of those who are important to you. Yeah. So as you date and as you find relationships, ask God to give you a healthy balance, right? Obviously, not everything Jasmine needs to be in, or not everything everybody needs to be in, but there needs to be a balance to where you're still spending time with your family, knowing that you're dating before they become your husband should pull you away from your family, right? They should add to that to that family dynamics. And when you find that you're being pulled away, isolation or separation before marriage is not a good thing. Like once you get married, yes, you can leave and cleave. That is your husband. That is your first responsibility now, right? But when you're dating, you always want to have that balance, because when you're dating, to some degree, you're compromised, right? So yes, you're in the sense of, because of your emotions, you can't really judge and see everything for what it is. So you need to have the voice of other people around telling you, oh, well, I noticed this thing. You can be blinded.
No, I was just confused why he looked at me like, compromised.
No.
I was like, what is she talking about?
No, I mean, when I say compromise, I mean, your emotions is you all in.
No, I get what you're saying, but I was just like confused as to why you were looking at me with that face when you said that.
No, it was nothing. Let me look over here, Jonathan. When you're dating, you can't be compromised. Your emotions are compromised. Your feelings are compromised. You're all in fairy tale land. You know, you're having a good time. You know, you have something new and exciting happening. And sometimes you can't see what is true, what is infatuation, you can't even see that you're drifting away, you know. So I think asking God for that balance as you navigate dating and stuff like that, asking God for a healthy balance is a good thing.
Yeah. I just want to say from my perspective, that whole situation that happened, like, I think my main thing was really just I was uncomfortable with having to factor somebody else in, because for the longest I got so used to just being, hey Jay, let's go do this, hey Jay, let's go do that, and then he came into the situation and I was like, hey Jay, let's do this, and Jay was like, oh, well, can he come? And I'm just like, sure, I guess. And it's just like I had you struggle with having to balance between him and me, and I also struggled, but in the inverse way, like
Yeah.
I struggled having to share you, having to share my time between you, or you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I had to step back and reflect on my intentions, and sometimes I would find myself frustrated with you, or like mad at or name dropping.
Start the sentence over.
I would find myself mad at you or mad at him, and I'll just be like, why am I mad? Am I mad because I'm jealous, or am I mad for like a justifiable way? And most of the time it never was a justifiable reason. It was just, I want you all to myself, and I had to.
I want you out of myself.
Yeah. I had to be like, well, it's not always gonna be just me and you. Like, eventually, we're gonna have husbands, we're gonna have kids. We're always gonna have a close relationship, but we're gonna have to share our time and divide our time. And I was just like, the sooner I get with that realization and realize that you're not going away from me, or you're not
Being taken away.
Yeah. I started to be okay with it. So
I remember
Healthy balance.
yeah.
when I first started talking to him, Mom would ask. Mommy had no idea who this guy was.
Oh man.
And Mom would say, Jasmine, how do you feel about him? And she said,
I would
I
just
don't like
sabotage
him.
him.
I don't know about him. And
I would
Mommy was like,
sabotage him.
what? I was like,
And
Jasmine, come on.
Yeah, because of that, Mommy was like, "Oh, I don't know about him," and like I would get people that worked with me to take pictures of him, and like while he was
Oh,
at work
man.
and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, Mommy, this is him. You see how crusty he looks? Like,
Whoa. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She was beneath the belt. And I was like, the man is at work.
yeah."
Well, yeah, she met him, and she had her own opinion of him. She liked
even
him.
know all of
He was a
that.
good character. But I was
The
like,
girl
dang.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm past all of that now, but yeah.
So
Not my
and
best
it's
move.
because you guys to some degree had the same thing with Danielle in feeling left out or feeling feeling some type of way. But I think it's something that you would have had to grow through eventually, because you guys are so close, allowing other people into your space and knowing that they're not taking that person away from you. You know,
Yeah.
you're in addition
Not
of
the
something
enemy.
being lost, you're gaining something.
Yeah.
You know, you're gaining a
bonus
sister-in-law,
sibling.
brother-in-law, not a sibling, you know. And yeah, I think that's a healthy way of looking at it and
Yeah, that is
checking
a
your
healthy way of
feelings
looking at
to
it.
see,
Yes.
you know, is this legit or is this, you know, jealousy? But I understand it to some degree with you guys, because you've always been together. You've always had each other. And it's something y'all gonna have to work through.
And that's
but
what you would always tell me though. Whenever I come to you about something like that, you just be like, "This is new for both of y'all. Like y'all have to both."
And what you
manage it."
didn't see
Yeah.
is Mommy would go behind your back and tell me, Jada, you gotta, I know this is new, but you gotta learn how to factor in your sister. And
And then she would tell me, you have to learn how to factor in the fact that she's dating somebody. Like, she's not always going to
Playing
be
both
with
Tackle
sides.
both sides of the spectrum.
I'm an
it
equal
was good. It was
opportunity
good.
person, right?
It really helped.
Because this is
was
the thing.
good.
I'm always trying to see both sides of the coin. And I'm always trying to get other people to not look
Good.
at just their own perspective.
Yeah.
You know. So I was trying to get you to see her perspective, and I was trying to get her to see yours. And not just, you already know your perspective. You don't
Yeah.
need to know it anymore. You're intimately familiar with it, right?
I'd say
What
so.
now you need to do is try to understand somebody else's predicament.
Yeah.
So that you can make more of a
Like-
sober
Side question. I was just
Decision.
gonna say, I heard somebody say this. Is it true that parents hate it when their kids are fighting? Like
Yes.
going through it real bad. They said they hate it more than anything.
Yes. You don't want your kids to be at war with each other. You know what I'm saying? That's
So
not,
if your kids are mad at you, that's one thing, but it feels even worse when they're mad at each other.
yeah, when they're mad at each other, it doesn't feel good. It's unsettling, you know? And that's why I always force you guys to understand each other. But bigger than that, I always force you guys to understand each other because one day you're going to be in relationships and you're going to have to understand your spouse outside of your perspective.
Wow.
So
Everything you do is for a reason. Bro.
the easier it is, or the more you learn and practice that muscle of trying to understand another perspective outside of yours, it's going to be the easier you're going to be able to navigate your marriage, because you're going to be thinking, let me see what point this person has. And you're going to be familiar with my voice saying, think about it from his or her perspective.
Yes. That
Right?
is so true. I've learned from you how to think like from different perspectives. More importantly, when Jada comes to me frustrated at Jonathan or frustrated at Daniel or Mr. Jesse or even you.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I was just using you as an example. Like Jonathan comes to me, but now when they come to me, I'm like, think about it from this person's perspective. Think about what they've been through, how they deal with certain things, the type of person they are. So whenever people come up to me, I'm just like, that voice, your voice is in my head. Like, think about it from their perspective. Don't just think about it from yours.
Yeah.
And that really helps. Like in any situation, you just think about the other person's perspective, and 9 times out of 10, that'll put things into perspective for you.
And it helps too, because you are then able to have a certain amount of empathy,
Yes.
you know, for something outside of you. And when you seek to understand somebody else's plight, it does something to your heart, which in turn does something to them, so that they can be softened to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, the world would be a lot
A
different.
lot better if we try to
everybody-
understand. Like, I find myself in situations all the time at work, and I come into it like, okay, I understand what you're saying. You're saying this, and this, and I can see how I could have misinterpreted what you were trying to say. And that person will almost immediately come back and say, no, I get what you're saying. You know, but had I go into it, well, you do, that person would defenses up, right?
Yeah.
And then now neither of us is trying to understand. But
funny
when
the
I
way
go
humans
in,
work, man.
it's funny the way,
Yeah.
when I go in with the perspective of, forget about me. I'm sorry I misunderstood you. I'm genuinely sorry I misunderstood you. Or if I am misunderstanding, explain it to me, because I want to know. That person automatically turns around and want to understand my position. You
It
know,
kind of reminds me of I don't know if y'all see that video with Caitlin. I can't remember her last name. The basketball player, Caitlin Clark, and she's on the court with the other girl, and she was doing something with the ball, and then the coach, the referee was like, break or something like that, and she threw the ball, and the other girl threw the ball in the air,
yeah.
and Caitlin hit the ball, like, but it looked like she was trying to hit her on the shoulder, and the girl was like, what? And then her teammate had to come and pull her, like, she hit
trying
the
to
ball
stop the
so it
ball
didn't
from
fall on
hitting
you.
you.
And then like 2 minutes later, the clip shows the girl coming up to Caitlin like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you were doing that. And Caitlin was like, yeah, it's okay. And it was just like a whole misunderstanding, but her other teammate was able to come up to her and offer the perspective from Caitlin's side, so she wasn't just in her head about what happened.
yeah, that was good. That's good. Jonathan,
Yes.
one
Wait,
example.
wait.
Yes.
Before we do that, do you have any perspective to offer from when Jada was in her relationship or anything, or
Perspective.
like what was your
My
thought process?
perspective from it is just, I know it's coming one day, so I try not to be like the overly. I try to think about it a little bit deeper, but I mean, when it came to the whole situation, I was just like, wanted to make sure he was the right person, filling him out, not automatically just giving nothing, no yes man decision, or really trying to see what's best for my sister, because I really do care for her. And when other people start caring for her, I'm starting like, okay, they care for her. Okay, I can see why, but why? I want to know why though. I can see why,
Okay.
but I want to know why. Like, so see where they are, what their intentions are, and just see what their head is, because I can't just let these sisters go to anybody, man.
Did you notice the kind of division between Jasmine and I, or was it?
I feel like at one point, yeah, I noticed it. I feel like I definitely could notice it at one point. I didn't know it was from what situation, but I when you were dealing with him, I can see some moments where it looked like y'all were like distant a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right. Your turn.
I'm turned. My story was gonna be what she said, cause that's like the biggest one that affected the whole family.
Which
but
one?
No, there's other things that affected the whole
Which
family.
one? What I said that
The
affected?
one with the
Before
garage
the
that happened before the podcast.
Oh no, but that's
What other
that's
stories
just one.
then?
No,
Remind
no,
me of
no, no,
something.
no. There,
Yeah, there's a lot.
there's a good one
What?
about you.
Remind
There's a
me.
really good one.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I'm gonna go.
No,
ahead.
remind me so I can tell the story.
Your brother leaving for the
That one?
Navy.
Yeah. That was a big one.
That was. I feel like it was a big one.
That I feel like that affected the whole family.
Yeah, it
That-
did.
Yeah. Yes. So let's talk about it.
Right,
'cause
since we
obviously
didn't
you didn't know. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Well, it was around that time I was in high school. Yeah, I was like in maybe 10th, 9th, end of 9th
You were
grade,
in
probably
eighth.
going to 10th grade.
Or 7th going to 8th.
And I was real close to my brother. I'm real close to him. Like we got into fights a lot and stuff like
To
that.
hang
but-
out with him and his friends.
But yeah, hang out with him, his friends. I was around him so much that his friends knew me, whatever. But we was just always close. And then once he went away, it was like the first couple like weeks or whatever. It was weird, but I was just like, okay. But then as it went on, and more things started happening in my life, and more things I wanted to talk to him about.
Oh.
That I can talk to him about, or had situations come up, arise, and end up having to spill over, and I talk to mommy about him and stuff like that, or she can see it was bothering me, or whatever the case may be. But it was just that, like in that time, I just felt like I was just so alone at that time, because I didn't have my brother, like the person who I talked to, I could relate to, I could get his perspective on things, I could just ask him questions, I could just mess with him, proud of him, and just see his reactions and stuff like that. But I didn't have that, and then so I just started getting to this point where I just like, I just feel like I just didn't have nobody for real. Like even though I had my family, I just feel like I didn't have nobody. Like I feel like I was missing something.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that happened.
I feel like we
And-
were. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And yeah, did you start to notice that, or did you?
I think we all did.
We all noticed
Yeah,
it.
we all did. Because you were
What was
low
different
key.
about me?
You were low key depressed.
Yeah.
You were depressed. You spent
Yes.
a lot of time in your room.
You
You
were very
didn't talk a
quiet.
lot. You were very
Yeah.
quiet,
Was
and you
always
were
just
angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So
And it showed.
and it showed.
I didn't want Daniel to go. Daniel's biggest brother. I love him. I love all my siblings. We were all so close.
Daniel was kind of like the 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah.
He evened everything, balanced. We all balance each other out. So when one of us goes away, it kind of like tilts the scale a little bit.
And
Because
then,
me and
oh yeah,
I have Jada. We're the youngest, so we're close. Then you and Daniel are the oldest, and you guys are both boys, so you guys are close.
Yeah.
So it was like 2 and 2. But when Daniel went away, it was just like
yeah.
2,
and
3, 2, 1,
I
1,
think-
2, like uneven.
I
Sorry.
think you made me lose. Okay, so yeah, I'm close with Daniel, but when I look at you and Daniel, I was like, I know you guys are close. So I think we were all kind of nervous
To see how that
to see
dynamic
how that would
change.
happen and see how that would work out for you. But yeah, like you definitely kind of closed up a little bit.
Yeah,
It was scary.
Yeah,
It was
you
that.
became a different person, whether you believe that or not. Like,
and they used to come and tell me all the time.
Really?
Yeah, they used to come and
Yes, we
talk
were-
to me all the time
And
about
say
you.
what?
no, there
All
was a
the
time when certain things were going on in your life, and we could see the effect that it was wreaking on you. Like, you would sometimes you have arguments with mommy. We see you fight with mommy, and then we get kind of scared of you because we're like, what if you try to tell you something and you yell at us or you get mad at us? So we kind of reverted back too.
Oh yeah, I did see that though. The way, y'all were like very like
Standoffish.
yeah, like y'all didn't want to approach me like that, and
Yeah. Like mommy said, you were angry, and we were scared of that.
So what did you say to them when they came to you?
What did I tell y'all?
He's going through stuff, and
Pray
he's
for
still your
him.
brother. Talk to him in love, encourage him, lift him up, and invite him to do things with you guys. Like she would always tell us like,
I love you guys so much.
"Oh, I love you too." But yeah, she would always tell us like, just like you, when I would come to you, you would tell me like, you have Jada, but Jonathan had Daniel, but now he's gone. So y'all
So
have
we
to,
have to step up and
yeah, y'all have to invite him to do certain things with y'all. Show him that he's not alone and that you guys are with him. Yeah.
that feels like such a long time ago.
Yeah. It was heartbreaking for me to see.
Yes, mommy cried for you so many times.
I cried a lot.
She cried a lot.
I prayed a lot. I prayed for you a lot. And in hindsight now, what I would say is if you have a family, you have a family that's a close unit, don't underestimate the impact of one person leaving the home, going to college, going to the military, just not being in the home anymore, even going in and getting their own apartment,
Yes.
I didn't cater for that dynamic, and I felt like I wasn't equipped, and I didn't realize what was happening until
It
way
happened.
later, until it happened. Like, a part of me feel like if I could go back and do it over, before Daniel left, I would have sit them down and let them have a conversation about what
prepared
it
us a
would have
little bit.
looked like, and how could they establish stuff to remain in touch.
That's good.
Like, are we gonna write each other twice a month? So if I don't hear from you, at least I know I got a letter coming.
And then there was
right?
something I was worrying for him.
And you can call your brother at least once a month or twice a month on this day and this day, so he know that you're calling. I would
I
have.
still have the note he wrote to me.
What?
Yes, you do.
Dang, we're not doing his notes.
I would have established that. So I would
What did I
say
do
to
his
any parent that's having that same thing, plan for the separation.
And like you said,
Yeah.
like, don't underestimate, if you have a close knit family, don't underestimate one person leaving. That is so true. That's like the family, a close knit family is like a family sitcom. Everybody has their lines. Everybody goes in turns and has their lines. You say your line, you say your line, you
And
say
the
your
laugh
line.
track.
I say my line. He said his line. Miss J said his line. Everybody says the line in order. But then when like it's one person missing, it's like everybody says the line,
like-
and then it's like,
Silence.
and then but the silence seems so much bigger.
Yes.
And it's like something that you can just tell, like the
Someone's
whole
missing.
dynamic, especially if they're living in the house or y'all constantly around them.
It's like watching a movie without music.
It's like
Wow.
you can just feel the silence, and you
Yes. The silence is loud.
can, yeah.
Especially because Daniel was a
Like some
very
Oh, it was like some days we would come home and back to back days. It's like it's just a lot of silence in the house. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
everybody coming and going, and but
Daniel was
you
loud.
missing that one piece that bring everybody out their shell, that make everybody laugh when nobody feeling like laughing, just always goofing
Yeah.
around or whatever they.
And
whatever
Daniel
that
stayed
person
in trouble.
brings.
So
always
there was-
stayed in trouble, so he
so
was
it was
always
always
Yes,
drama.
that was the main thing. I was like, dang, Daniel's leaving, so all the attention's gonna be back on us.
I remember I didn't talk. Oh, sorry. I didn't when Daniel was getting ready to leave. I didn't to kind of prepare myself. I remember not talking to him to kind of get used to not seeing him, not talking to him, which is really sad. But
Oh.
We should have really, now that I look back on it on hindsight, we should have really had a conversation about what Daniel leaving would mean, how the dynamics of the house would change, how we would plan for this big event,
You know what's a crazy thought?
that we didn't consider.
I wonder who we would be today if Daniel didn't go to the Navy. Like how that would affect us. That's just crazy to think.
Oh,
That's wild.
You don't think your value to the family. Well, you don't see in everyday life how much your value as one person in the family affects everybody else.
The dynamics.
And then,
Yeah.
what it
Daniel's
was
gonna be
feeling
watching
like
this
for
like,
him
what?
too.
yeah.
And then what it felt like for him, I know he missed you guys.
'Cause
You
he
know?
missed all of his
we were,
supports.
Yeah. And I know at one point he told me that he felt like we were moving on without him.
Oh.
You know, his
Really?
sisters were
he
growing
did
up.
Say that. When he said that, that broke my heart, man.
Yeah, that broke my
Yeah.
heart.
It's like we can never, man.
Yeah,
He
he
left-
over here missing you.
We can
He
never,
left
man.
when we were like going into 7th grade or going into 8th grade. We were in 7th grade going. What's one of those things?
Yes,
and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Because
then
we
he
went.
came back.
he
Y'all
came
in
back, we
high
were
school,
graduating.
y'all graduated.
Yeah,
He was just like that. He missed a lot of years of your
Yes.
life. He missed 5 years of
Yeah.
your lives, and so that was rough.
Yeah, because
That
he
was
got out
rough.
of boot camp in the middle of the school year. Because I remember driving to Chicago
In
Uh-huh.
8th grade.
in 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was rough. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and
Very
whole
much
time,
so.
Yeah, that whole time he was deployed in Japan and gone. That whole time, yeah, I could remember, like, I could remember my beginning self to all the way through him
I can't
coming
remember my
back,
beginning stuff.
getting out of boot camp. Cause it's like when I look at my camera roll, it's kind of like literal photogenic memory. Like when I
Yeah.
look at my camera roll, everything is in dates, right? So you'll see I see my freshman pictures, my summer freshman pictures going into 10th grade. Then I see, like, we take a picture with Daniel when he came back from boot camp, or you see it, and you see him, like, the picture I took when he was at the recruiting office on somebody's bike, on somebody's motorcycle. And then you just see the moments, but you see, like, your life in between them. And it's like, that's how I kind of remember, too. But yeah, there was a lot that happened and a lot that happened in them years for all of us.
Yeah.
So I think not underestimating the impact of the value and the space that you hold in your family, you know, and when things change and move, how it affects each other and how it affects the way how you show up, you know, because I think you had the hardest high school year because of that, you know, and there was a lot of adjustments and stuff that had to, you know, be made and had to happen and so on and so forth.
When he wanted to help me, or I was going through things, and then like you were telling him I was going through things or whatever, and he would feel so helpless because he can't help me.
Yeah.
But I think if Daniel never would have left, though, he wouldn't. The way he loves us now, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be at this point. I don't think so.
It give him a different appreciation.
Yeah.
Being away.
Because you gotta think about it from his perspective. He was gone. Okay, him seeing us when we left, we looked a certain way. We just seen us every day, so we don't think we look that different. We don't think we just grown every day. We get used to the new picture. So he sees us one way, but then he
Like
might
he
see us on
stepped through a
FaceTime
time-
calls or whatever, but it's not the
time
same.
capsules.
When he comes back after all that time and he sees, okay, he can see the height different. He can see the face getting different.
And he would
can
say
see
that when he came back from.
he can see all of that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and it can make a person realize, like, man, like this just fly by, and look how fast they grew up. Like, they are not the same people from when I left. So I
Yeah.
think that also helped Daniel with just the love part of everything, like just his appreciation. Like that can do with anybody. Like he
That-
probably still would have loved us a tremendous amount.
Right.
but
He still would have, but
He
he
everything
probably
that
would have gotten
happens
to that level
change
at
it.
some point,
Yeah.
even in
Yeah.
his growth. But that just sped it up because it just
Yeah.
showed him. It just opened his eyes to something a little bit early on.
I want to zero in on the hurt, or zero in a little bit on the how we all were impacted by your hurt. You know, and what do you do in those moments when you see a family member hurting and you don't have the words, or you don't know what to say, and it's easier for you to feel like I should just pull in and let them
Figure it
deal
out.
with whatever they're dealing with. For us, it was difficult to see, and for you, it's going to be difficult to see. One of the most important things you can do is pray and see where you can meet them in their world. Sometimes that might be just taking them for a drive, going to have breakfast, buying their favorite snack, watching a movie with them, but never leave them alone.
Yeah.
When a family member is going through something that's making them feel depressed, carry that weight with them. Don't leave them alone. Stay with them, walk through it with them, get them therapy, get them help if you can afford it. If you can't afford therapy, I'm sure there's free services. Spend time with them, pray for them, and find moments that you can celebrate them and love on them. Hug longer. We got this whole thing we do. No, hug somebody, hold them, and hold them. You know, Tell your siblings, your children, look at them and I love you. And I'm proud of you. And give them 2 or 3 reasons why you're proud of them. Don't just say, I'm proud of you. Don't just say, I love you. I love you because X, Y, and Z. Or simply, I love you because I made a choice. I tell them all the time, I choose you, I'm going to love you.
No matter
It
what.
doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. I've already made that decision that my love for you is forever, right? And I'm proud of you because of X, Y, Z. I'm proud of you because this, and this. And I feel like it's important for us to see each other and be seen in our families. Feel as if we're being seen and feel as if we're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, when we go through things or when we talk through things. So that's the major thing that I wanted to get through with this thing. The stuff that we go through in our personal lives impact our families, our happy moments, our sad moments. And it doesn't just impact
testimonies.
you, but it impact the ones around you.
And we were so young when all that happened. I feel like if I could tell my younger self something pertaining to everything that happened with Jonathan, I would just tell myself, Jonathan's human. He's not perfect. He has emotions. And he may seem scary. That's just because outwardly that's what he's showing. But inwardly, he's a human that needs love. And he loves us. He wouldn't do anything to intentionally hurt us. And I would tell myself to just spend more time in his world, spend more time talking to him. Because I feel like like you said, I just pull back and I just let him figure it out. Granted, I also was figuring some stuff out too, but we could have leaned on each other carried each other's weights and just had someone to relate to, you know?
Anything? As we wrap up?
This got heavy.
Yeah, we still didn't even talk about what happened with me and how.
Oh
that
yeah,
happened to
what
everybody.
happened with you and how it
But no,
impacted-
we're wrapping up, right? Wrapping up.
No.
You got time.
You got time. Tell us. Let's go for it.
Okay. Yeah, quite literally my testimony. Like, I'm not gonna say the whole thing, but if you want to know, like, we have a series,
There's a
The Journey
video,
to Us. I'll link it in. But basically, I was struggling with my identity and same-sex attractions, and yeah, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I also withdrew myself and pulled back a little bit. Jada and I, we used to be close, but during that time, I was kind of like getting pulled away because of the relationship that I was in with a girl. And she would tell me like, hey, this isn't right, Jasmine, this isn't right. And because she wasn't telling me what I wanted to hear, that made me pull away even more and lean onto myself. And then even with mommy, she also wasn't telling me what I wanted to hear. So I was like, okay, I'm not talking to either one of them. It's just going to be me and her against the world. And I really let the devil use me. And I got attacked like so much. And I didn't know why at the time. But it was because I was by myself, leaning to my own understanding. And I was just digging myself a deeper hole. And yeah, that's just basically a summation of it. But
Jonathan, were you aware?
At the time that it was going on,
How did you feel, Jada?
I'm trying to tap into that. Felt like lifetimes ago. I was
it was
upset. I was kind of hurt. I hated seeing Jasmine that way. I knew there was things she was hiding from me, and that didn't feel good. At work, it was a very like toxic environment, and at school, I felt like she would go here, I would go here. We'd come home, we'd be in our rooms. We didn't really talk a lot. And I think one of the things that got me through was school. Like, I was busy with school, and we had concerts, and so that kind of helped move things along. And then the quarantine happened,
oh yeah,
and our relationship.
that was the beginning of it. Quarantine.
That was the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see, like, the puzzles are coming together now, but it's the same. I was kind of hurt, and we definitely were not as close as we used to be. I remember the certain individual would work with us,
And she
and
hated
that's why
you.
I said, yeah, I could tell. She would try to talk to me, and it just, I didn't feel any genuine like fondness for me when she was talking to me, and she could feel that, and that poured into her, pulling Jasmine away from me, and it was just a whole thing. And then I don't think Jonathan knew until Mommy sat all of us down and she said that's not gonna happen. And as for me in my house,
But that was even more before. Jonathan's understanding in that moment was just like, oh, they're just saying certain things. They don't really mean it. They're just experimenting and stuff. For like, at least that's what I think. He didn't know the full extent of it when it happened, like a year or two later, when I was actually in it. Yeah.
I think we're living in serious times where our children are faced with challenges that we ourselves weren't faced with before. And I don't know what's the statistics, but I'm pretty sure that it's high. That a lot of families at some point is going to be met with the question of identity. And they're going to have to navigate it. And you can navigate it based on your belief. That's how we did it. We navigated it based on our belief. But even in navigating it based on our belief, I would like to say the most important thing is love. You know, making sure that, so this is the thing. As you create your family and as you build your family, what is the foundation that you're building on? If you're building on the word of God and you're building on truth, whatever situation comes up, whether it's identity, whether it's theft, whether it's stealing, whether it's sex before marriage, whether it's lying, whether it's adultery, drugs, whatever comes up, we go to the word of God on how to deal with it, not just identity. Identity is not the only thing we look to God for answers for. We look to him for answers on everything: finances, emotions, decisions, clarity, wisdom, guidance, direction, leadership. We look to God's word for everything, and we live our lives based on that word. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We face everyday challenges just like you, right? We just compare the things that we're going through to the word of God. So when the issue of identity came up, we did the same thing, right? And but we did it in love. And I think Jasmine always knew that irrespective of whatever was happening, that I loved her, and that we were going to come out on the other side of this. I don't know if she knew it in the time, but like everyone else, when you're going through something and you don't have the resolve to believe, the people around you already know that it's going to be okay. God is going to help us through the situation and we'll come out on the other side. But it affected the entire family in the sense of Daniel was still away, and Daniel was still in Japan, but he had the feeling,
I would text him about certain things.
yeah.
I would text him about that situation too.
He had the feeling of, I'm going to support my sister.
Yeah.
Right? He had the feeling of, oh, Mom, I'm going to support my sister. It is what it is. And because I love her and I'm going to be there for her. Jonathan had the whole thing of, she's just going through some stuff. I don't think Jonathan knew the gravity. Jada was worried because Jada just didn't feel like that person was genuine, and
that wasn't who I was.
It wasn't who she was. She was lost in it. She was her. I knew that Jasmine wasn't my Jasmine. She wasn't our Jasmine. She was overcome by something else. She was depressed. She was sad. She was getting anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And she was dealing with some things mentally, And so we had to work through and we had to fight through those things. But I think once again, the most important thing is we didn't leave her to struggle by herself.
As much as I wanted y'all to leave me alone.
As much as she wanted us to leave her alone, right?
I'm glad y'all didn't, though. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We didn't leave her alone. We rally around her. We rally around the word. We believe in God. And we supported her. We supported her in truth, right? And that's the most important thing when a family member is going through something, is that we all come together, we all pray for them, we all cover them, we all love them. We don't isolate them, we don't push them away, we don't make them feel discarded, but rather that is the time that we push to make them feel loved and included and help them to recognize truth in anything, really, in anything that they're dealing with.
Because you don't want their hearts to become hard.
Yes, because you don't want, again, it's that whole thing of trying to understand where this person is at and helping them walk through it.
And help them see that
right?
you're trying to
help them
understand
to
it.
see that you're trying to
Actually
understand.
trying to help them.
And
you're-
you,
right.
you were the one that showed me what being a Christian, what being a follower is all about. The way you handled the situation. Before that happened, I know we'd go to church Wednesday, Sunday. We go to church, sit there for 2-3 hours.
Oh,
Well,
Right.
we said the service was like an hour and a half, but we'd stay up longer.
Okay.
That's what I
Right.
mean. But you never really exercised it or anything like that. So I was just like, oh, we're Christians because we go to church and we read the Bible and stuff. That's all it really was. But in that moment, you showed me what real love is, unconditional love, because that was a condition. Like you could have been like, oh, I don't love you anymore. Like, you do what you're going to do. I can't even look at you. That's what the devil was telling me. He was telling me, you can't come to your mom about this thing because she's going to turn you away. She's going to treat you like you're nothing and that you're less than. And these are all the thoughts that were going on in my head. That's why I didn't really come to anybody about that, because I was like, y'all are going to look at me differently. Y'all are going to be disgusted by me and stuff. But when you found this stuff out, you did the complete opposite. You loved me even more. You hugged me every day. You spoke to me. You looked at me and you looked at me. You didn't just look at me. You looked through me. You read me. And that experience and the experience that I had with God, like, that really partnered and like really drove this whole thing home to me, like being what being a Christian is like. And even now today, when I look at people and I have this love for them because I can connect with the love you have for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, I know what it's like being a part of that community, or being in that mindset and feeling like, oh, people are going to treat me differently and no one's going to love me. Like I'm an outsider. I'm an outcast. And I don't want anyone to feel like that. No matter what you do, whether I support it or not, whether it goes against my beliefs or not, I'm still gonna love you like Jesus loved you.
Yes.
I'm not gonna treat you any differently. And
That's right.
that's how you win souls. That's how you
Yes.
bring somebody to Christ. You don't condemn them or scare them or force them, but you
Right.
show them love. You show them this is what Jesus would do.
Ostracize or isolate them. Yeah. Yeah. That's big. And I'm gonna say this, I give God all the thanks, because he gave me the grace. That was something new. I never thought in a million years I'll be dealing with something like that. Like most parents, I'm pretty sure. And I think what happens is a lot of parents get scared and they don't know how to navigate it, because it's you don't know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
What I did in that time is totally relied on God. I totally leaned into God and trust him to help me deal with the situation. I prayed, I cried, I fasted, I trusted my covenant sisters. I brought them into the situation. I brought my mom into the situation, and I said, we got to pray. We got to war. We got to fight. I am not asking you guys to talk to my child. I'm asking you to talk to God in prayer. Let us talk to God in prayer. And let me navigate this thing. You're not allowed to speak to my child regarding this. Because
that clear.
I wanted to be at the front of it.
She didn't want different voices competing.
I didn't want different voice competing, or I didn't want her to feel as if she had to explain herself to everybody.
Or
that
like
she
you
met.
were telling everybody what was going
Or
on.
like I was telling everybody her business. And that's the reason why you got to be strategic about a company that you keep, because sometimes it's war time. It's time to take things to God and pray. It's not time for you to go confronting this person, talking to them. No, that's not your role at this particular time, right? That's not where I need your support. I need your support in prayer, and I need your support as as I lean on a shoulder to cry on, as I navigate something that I don't know how to navigate, but I'm trusting God to help me, right? Not everything is for you to go talking to somebody, child. Some things is for you to listen and pray. Some things for you to be the shoulder to cry on, right? And that is what I needed, and that's what I got, because I didn't know how to navigate it. It was nothing but the help of God. And what I heard God constantly saying to me is, love your daughter. Just love her.
Yeah, because if you had done anything differently,
I probably would have lost you.
Yeah.
You know, just love your daughter. Just love your daughter. And that comes back to, there was a time even when Danielle first came home, and Danielle was going through some things. And because he went to the Navy, he came back, and he had to pick up some habits, right? And I was like, whoa, he first came back home. I was like, oh my gosh. And the Holy Spirit himself said, do not say nothing to him about it. Just love him. Love him, affirm him, kiss him, hug him, speak the word of God. Do not address what you're seeing. I do not give you authority. I do not give you the release to address this situation. Not yet. And so I would see it happening. And growing up in my day, my mom would have said, you can't come into my, but that's how she was raised. And that's how they handle things. And as parents, we have to find different ways to handle situations now. Or these children are different from the children that we were growing up, right? We grew up in a society where it was normal. You get your behind whooped, parents cuss you out, they cuss you out, they yell, kick, and scream, and that was just normal, right? But now we're in a different age where that is not working, and we cannot push our children into the arms of the enemy because we want to parent based on what they used to do. You have to be in covenant with God parenting your child. And the way how God is going to speak to you about Jonathan, about Jada, about Jasmine, about Danielle, it's going to be different because each of your children are individually made. But God knows the keys to their hearts. And God will tell you the secret to getting to them, the secret to releasing them from bondage, whatever bondage it may be. And so I had to tap into that, listen to the voice of God. He spoke to me. He speaks to me concerning each and every one of you. And that's why my approach with you guys are different. And sometimes y'all may want me to handle the situation different from, y'all may look at it and say, I think you should do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no. Because that's not what God is telling me. That's not how God is telling me to deal with Jonathan. And he have the insight about Jonathan more than more than me. I have to listen to the voice of God. And so in dealing with that situation, as scared as I was, as overwhelmed as I was, I obeyed. I walked in obedience to what God was telling me. For both you and Daniel and Jonathan and Jada, and what I've seen time and time and time again, that God's way was always true. And his way was always the higher way. His wisdom was always way greater than mine. My wisdom would have pushed you guys away, and his wisdom pulled you guys closer to me.
That just puts it so much into perspective in the Bible. I can't remember if it was Abraham or if it was Joseph that God, when he found out his wife was gonna have a baby, he was like, "Oh, this is impossible. We're like 109 years old," and God muted his voice. Abraham, yeah. He didn't have the authority to speak on that. God shut him up. And that's basically sometimes what God I'm not saying parents have to shut up, but we don't have the authority to speak sometimes. So we have to know when to speak and when to be quiet and let God speak to your children or speak to the individual going through that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So your family's going to go through things that you never cared for or you never imagined, but you can lean on God for how to navigate those difficult things and how to bring back semblance of order and bring things back to a calmness or a normalcy of what they used to be. You have to ride the tides to get to calmer seas, and things are always working out on the other side.
And as young adults or children, as part of a family, teenagers, your impact and what you do has more of an impact on your family than you think. So just be mindful of that and remember.
And on your parents.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Your parents are not hardcore. They have a heart.
Yeah.
And part of your role in your family is to make your parents' life easy. They're carrying a lot of weight. they're battling with a lot, not only with you, but your siblings, with the bills, with work, with with their
Themselves.
parents, with themselves. Because some parents are still trying to find themselves, and some
are
parents
still dealing with
as
trauma.
we go through, they're dealing with trauma, and as they go through different age and phases and seasons, they're changing. They have to relearn themselves. They're trying to learn you and accommodate you. You know, I'll say pray for your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Pray for your
for your
siblings, pray for your
parents.
parents.
They're just
Pray for your siblings.
They're just grown babies.
They just grown babies.
Because they're grown, they can do all the grown stuff. They can handle themselves, but at the same time, they have things they need to work on. They need to work on their temper. They need to work on their attitude.
They're still learning
They
things
need
for
to
the
work.
first time.
They need to learn how to respond to certain people, get situations back right. Still learning how to those relationships like with their mom and their dad and their kids but they're just
They're navigating
they
things.
have
too.
all the ability. They have all the ability to do it. They just have to learn and be able to and know how to do it. Like,
And they have fears. And a lot of times they operate from fear,
Yeah.
you know, and so they overreact. They you know, they're when you come into this world, it changes the dynamics of your parents' life. And all they want to do is love and protect you. And they have to learn that they can't do it all. They have to release you. They have to trust God. And you're going to get bumps and dents along the way, and you're going to be okay. But they have to learn that. So until they learn that, they're overprotective or they're scared, they're operating in fear. When they tell you not to do certain things, it's not because they don't love you. It's because they're scared. They don't want anything to happen to you because they love you. So, yeah, this was a good episode, guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any final thoughts? I think I'm all thought out.
Yeah.
Me too.
yeah, me too.
Okay.
Until next time.
Thank you guys so
Hope you
much
guys
for watching.
enjoyed
You
everything.
guys,
We'll
Go
see you
ahead,
guys
John.
in the next
I said, I
one.
hope you guys enjoy everything. Come back for more.
Yeah.
Okay, well, see you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the video. We love to hear from you. Leave your takeaways in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next one.